Hello everyone, this is me Osama Mustafa. Actually, this is live from the airport, so in case you're gonna hear a lot of noise, that's because I am in the middle of the airport waiting for my flight. The first question, which is related why the DevOps has been gained popularity over past few years. Let me tell you something, which is DevOps. It's just no more than a set of the process that coordinate between the development team and the process to complete the software development. The main reason behind the DevOps popularity, which is allows the enterprise to create and improve the products as faster pace than the traditional way or the manual way. And another one, which is the short development cycle or faster innovation. Or let's say, when we have based response from the development team and the operation team, it's more difficult to tell if the application is operational. And when the development team simplifies submit request, for example, the cycle time, for example, gonna be extended automatically. So the DevOps solved all of this issue. Also, another one, which is reduce implementation failure, reflection, and recovery time for the response time when something gonna happen, for example, or the error rate. Because you are, for example, storing your code for code version, and this is actually make it easy to detect the code defect. Therefore, for probably the team can use their time to reduce the number of the implementation. Better communication and cooperation, like the idea as the shortcut or DevOps refer for development and operation team, which is improve the DevOps software development culture. The common team are happier and protective because the culture focus on performance rather, for example, on individual goal. And when the team trust each other, they can actually work much effectively. Let's say the other way, which is when we are talking about the DevOps, it's reduce the cost, which is very important for most of the company because you are talking about automation in the infrastructure and you are talking about acceleration in the tools which allow company actually to focus on another tools or another thing. What let's say the second question, which is what are the DevOps tools that you can use? Let me tell you something about this question. To understand how the DevOps is working, you need to understand probably what is the category of the DevOps. There are four or five category actually in the DevOps, which is CI/CD, configuration management, infrastructure as code, and containerization. Each one of these category having its own response or its own tools, such as, for example, when we are talking about infrastructure as code, we are talking about Terraform, CloudFormation, ARM. We are talking about one of the recent tools such as Plomi as well. We are talking about configuration management, Chef, Puppet, Ansible as well, CI/CD, Jenkins, Circle CI, TeamCity, and so on. So the popularity, actually, the stack of the technology is huge, and you have multiple tools to work on. Another question, which is, for example, how to run the infrastructure by Terraform, and how, let's say, to make it like work. The Terraform, actually, it's like a tool that related to the infrastructure as code. It's for building, changing, and versioning infrastructure safely and in efficient way. Terraform can manage existing and popular cloud service provider, not only like one cloud provider. In Terraform, the configuration file describes the components that needed to run a single application to your entry data center. So Terraform generate actually an execution plan describing if what will you do to reach the desired states, and then execute it depends actually on depends on the configuration file that already built. As the configuration change, Terraform automatically actually gonna determine the changes and create incremental execution plan which can be applied. So instead of probably do it in the manual way, you can use Terraform. Actually, it's very simple way. Like either you can, for example, use the best in static way or dynamic way. I use usually in the dynamic way that allow me to to use my recode, for example, every time, instead of keep writing a code every time, such as for example when I'm gonna deal with a networking. So I'm define a module for Terraform that for networking and change this module or call it inside the Terraform code. Another question, which is it possible to make everything as a code? Yes, like there is something called actually everything as a code, and it has been like trending as well, like for everything. Like manual procedure are no longer, let's say, used for provision, upgrading, monitor, or decommission a thousand of computing endpoints, such as probably virtual machine, storage container, or whatever. And before you're gonna start building your software, you must configure and deploy a workflow such as probably CI/CD. And these workflow are created from static script and configuration files. So, and because of this, you may be not be any versioning or testability as the teams get larger. So these configuration files quickly go out of the sync. Now, with everything as a code approach, you are treat the operation, infrastructure, security, configuration management, and compliance, and as application code is so that everything gonna work the same software development practice. It's like a methodology to practice in which you write infrastructure as a software, where everything is expressed as a code. It's better, and so that's allow the company actually to follow up and work with the code. And how to apply it, like there are a couple of approaches actually to do this, which is help you to scale operation by reusing the same configuration file and tools across like a large scale environment. Another question, which is how do I manage AMI and users and policy using Terraform? Like with Terraform actually, it's a provide AIM for most of the cloud resource, like all of them. And to do this actually, like you can create the resource using the Terraform, and this is allow you to track your code and the security and the policy. So no need, for example, to do it in the manual way, which allow, for example, system administrator want to change something, and then the other one gonna change something. Everything can be done actually using the code, and the code, as we know, it's saved using the version control, which save your code, and all the team gonna be sync with each other. Another one, which is like if you're gonna compare Terraform, for example, did you work with infrastructure solution with the system, or like Terraform for this solution or a drawback? Yes, like if we're gonna compare like Terraform, okay, with other solution, Terraform actually is the most popular infrastructure code, has been used recently. There are other tools such as ARM from Microsoft Azure, CloudFormation, Plumi, as I mentioned as well. And the good about Terraform, it's a multi-cloud product, which is admin know how to create infrastructure in the given provider. You can write to Terraform resource and it's very like easy tools. The configuration are written by Harishi Koop and declarative language called the configuration language and so on. It's like very easy to use, and with different let's say infrastructure as code, the code is unchangeable, which mean if you gonna write it for one environment, it's gonna be for one environment. You can use for example modules or any other thing, for example, to make it much easier for you. And this is gonna cause issues, especially if you're gonna, for example, use the code in multiple environment, because every time you're gonna like change the code for the environment, you have to change the whole code for the environment, not only for one. And some of the tools are actually written in JSON, which Terraform having its own configuration language. And Terraform relies on a state file that must be maintained. And if you're gonna lose this state file, like you cannot actually track your changes. So probably if you're gonna import or target another change, this is like gonna cause an issue. That's what, like I call it disadvantage if this state file has been lost. Another one, which is also Terraform able, like allow you to destroy or clean up the resource, which is much easier to do it than a manual way. All of this actually make me Terraform like good, but there are also limitations for Terraform, such as, for example, when you are working with, for example, images, you need to deploy images, you need to use a third-party solution. You have to use also a couple of tools with Terraform that allow you like to change the versioning of the Terraform and so on. Thank you. I hope this is very useful and you did not have an issue actually by hearing me actually while I'm in the airport. Thank you.